Hello, everyone. The time has finally arrived. Kept getting messages, emails, notes on my car, people calling me. When are you going to finish your two-part series on the Cardania Terraforms? Time is now. In the first video, we discussed the Terraform basics and the various resources you can find on Terraforms. In this video, we're going to talk about rare attributes, extremely rare resource combos. We're going to give tips to the new Cardania players to help them discover the best options for their first Terraforms. And at the end, we're going to uncover the most desired land type on Cardania. This content is to give you knowledge about Cardania Terraforms. At no point should it be regarded or considered as financial advice. Making your own decisions is the only true freedom you have in life. Exercise that right. And not only make your own choices, but stand by your decisions. To start off, let's list Terraform resources I consider as a bonus attribute. I don't specifically search for these resources when I'm looking to buy a Terraform. The two major bonus features on a Terraform are bunkers and hazardous flora. These two attributes don't create a resource, but they do boost a Terraform's defense. There are three bunker types. A Cardanian bunker, which has the toughest defense. Quantum bunker is the second strongest. And the reinforcement bunker has the least strongest defense. I'm not sure what the defense stats are for these bunkers. That's a captain's secret. There are 6 different hazardous flora. The rarest is the Nemesis Hydra, and the second rarest is the Melodious Mantrap. The bunkers and hazardous flora are bonuses if your Terraform has them, but I personally don't buy Terraforms just because they have these traits. Only one of the alpha sectors is extremely desirable, and we'll talk about this later. Next, we're going to talk about resources that can be gathered from 2 different sources. And also, you can obtain resources from attacking other players' Terraforms in Epic Wars. So that's something to keep in mind as well. You can see from the number of Terraforms that Cursed Liquid and Sand are the rarest of the dual obtained resources. We have fungal spores that could be gained from a fungal land type or from a fungus spore's atmosphere. Lightwood can be gathered from Prisma-leaf forest or palm tree forest. Machine components can be obtained through artificial land types or compact machinery, which is a secondary mineral. You obtain magma from volcanic land types and geothermic activity. Sand is gathered from badland land types and desert land types. Stone is also gathered from the badlands and rocky lands. Toxic waste is from wastelands and toxic lakes or rivers. Cursed liquid comes from cursed nanites, which is an atmosphere, and the cursed lakes and rivers, which are the waters. Now that we've talked about the resources that can be obtained by 2 different Terraform attributes, let's look at a list of the most common resources that can be found on 2,000 plus Terraforms. There are 3 types of fauna and 3 types of forest. Once again, I don't buy land solely because they have these attributes. Once you start buying Terraforms, you usually obtain all these entities at some point. In regards to forest, the Prisma-leaf forest is the rarest. There's 2,671 Terraforms. Those give you Prisma-leaf and Lightwood. Next is the palm forest. Those give you coconuts and lightwood. And the evergreen forest gives you darkwood. There are 3 types of fauna. The rarest being the ultrasaurs. You obtain leather from that attribute. Critters give you fur. And livestock give you meat. The prismatic motes and the fungal spore atmosphere are the most common of the atmosphere types. The prismatic motes gives you prismatic dust, and the fungal spores give you fungal spores. There are various runes you can receive if your terraform has a lithoglyph on it. As you can see, the green lithoglyph can be found on the most terraforms, and there's quite a few also within the common resource here. We have purple, orange, blue, red, and green. And these all give you different colored runes. Terraform activity can be one of two types, magnetic and geothermal. Geothermal creates magma, which can also be obtained from volcanic terraforms. Magnetic activity creates the meteorite resource, and this is the only way to obtain meteorites, so it's more rare than the geothermal activity. If you've ever wondered where the Cardanian meteorites are coming from, then this is your answer. This is a Cardanian mystery that the ultimate quitter has solved. You won't find this information on the Codex of Knowledge, but I did the research and I figured out where they're coming from, and it's magnetic activity. The most common secondary mineral is fossils. The three most common primary minerals are radium, iron, and copper. When I buy terraforms, I search for the attribute I'm looking for, and I try to find a terraform that also has a primary mineral on it. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it doesn't. Greens are obtained from every grassland land type. Energy is produced from every terraform, and the amount varies depending on your quantum flux level. Level 9 creates the most energy, and level 1 creates the least amount of energy. Every terraform also generates RAD, which is Cardanian's main currency, and the amount of RAD generated depends on your power level. Level 9 creates the most RAD, and a power 9 terraform is much more desired than a level 1. To obtain all these resources, your character has to harvest every epoch. The most common Cardanian land types are grasslands and rocky terraforms. Grasslands give you greens, and rocky terraforms give you stones. They make up for over half of the terraforms on Cardania. Now, faith and research points are gained from shrines and ruins. And although all shrines create faith, and almost all ruins create research points, there are common and rarities in both categories. And we're going to discuss these various shrines and ruins in a moment. Here are the uncommon Cardania resources. Don't forget that although the cursed liquid and sand can be earned from two avenues, they fall into this uncommon category where there are only between 1,000 and 2,000 terraforms that create these uncommon resources. Anti-gravity cloud and gemstones have the least amount of terraforms in this category. We have salt water, which can be obtained from rivers and lakes in the water category. Anti-gravity particles come from the anti-gravity cloud atmosphere. Custodial nanites can be found in the custodial nanite atmosphere. Cardanium is a primary mineral. Gemstones are a secondary mineral. The wastelands create toxic waste, and the volcanic land types create magma. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the rare resources that are found on less than 1,000 terraforms on Cardania. These resources are funky liquid, which you could find from lakes and rivers. Time-lost rune from a time-lost lithogram. Ice from the tundra land type. The Badlands create sand and stone. Tundra creates ice. Fungal creates fungal spores. Deserts give you sand. And artificial land types create compact machinery. Next, and as promised, let's get back to those shrines and ruins. We'll start with the shrines. There are 7 different shrines, and as you can see, 5 of these shrines would be considered in the rare category, and the other 2 are right on the cusp of rarity. Only 24% of terraforms have a shrine, and they all produce faith. The rarest terraform attribute on Cardania is the gold shrine. There are only 177 gold shrines. The next rarest is the time lost, and the third rarest is the quantum shrine. Now, a long time ago, I asked the captain if the shrines are just going to produce faith, or will the different shrines have unique purposes in the future? He said the various shrines will serve unique purposes, but he didn't elaborate. The future utility of the shrines and ruins are another of the captain's secret. Speaking of ruins, let's take a look at them. Instantly, your attention is probably drawn to the number terraforms with a time-lost ruin. This is the second rarest terraform attribute on Cardania with 196 time-lost ruins. All the other ruins can be found on just over 1,000 terraforms each, and 1/3 of all terraforms contain a ruin. One ruin I must point out is the ancient ruin. Instead of giving you research points, this ruin will give you a yellow rune. So if you have an ancient ruin and a lithogram on your terraform, then it produces 2 runes each epoch. Next, I created a list of the most rare terraform attributes. And from this list, you're going to see why some of the most rare terraforms, in my opinion, aren't desirable by the numbers. A 4-trait terraform is the most rare single attribute land, with only 6 of them in existence. In my opinion, I don't want that terraform. Currently, there's no advantage to having one of these barren lands, except to say you have one. I'd prefer to put my ADA to better use. Next up, there's 18 terraforms with 15 trait counts, and I feel that's a great purchase, if you could find one. After that, there's 110 terraforms with 14 trait counts, and I think that's a great purchase too. Those are a little easier to find. Then with 121 terraforms, there's a 5 trait count. And when I first started out, I got one of these. I was looking just at rarities, and 5 trait count was pretty rare. So I said, I'm going to get that. And I'm kind of bummed that I did, because I passed up another one that had 12 traits on it, and it would have been a better purchase. So don't make the same mistake I did. Go for the terraforms with high trait counts. We discussed earlier that there's 177 terraforms with the gold shrine. And who knows? That could be a good investment in the future. Might be rare, but we don't know yet. The time loss are always a great choice. You get the ruins, the shrines, both those. There's not many terraforms with them. And I threw in the anti-gravity cloud with 1,113 terraforms. And I did that because it has a great use case in epic wars. In the future, other resources might have a great use case also, and those will become desired too. But right now, the anti-gravity, that one you need for a citadel. So check out the Quitter Quit Quittings Citadel tutorial, and you'll see why that is probably the most desired resource at the current time. Here's the exciting part for searching for Cardania Terraform: the rare resource combos. In a minute, I'll show you how I search for these on the JPG store. But first, let's look at the most rare and possibly valuable 2-resource combo that you can find on a Cardania Terraform. One of the most rare resource combos is the Gold Shrine and the Time Lost Ruin. There's only one terraform with that. Also a Gold Shrine and 15 trait count. There's only one of those. A Time Lost Ruin and 15 trait count. One of those. The Gold Shrine. A Time Lost Lithogram. There's 3. A Time Lost Shrine and a Time Lost Ruin is 3. Time Lost Shrine. Time Lost Lithogram. 8 of those. A Time Lost Ruin and a Time Lost Lithogram. There's 11 of those. So let's switch over to the JPG store, and I'm going to show you how I find all these. What you're going to do is you're going to come to the JPG store. That's jpg.store. You're going to search the collection for Cardania. And it'll pop this up, and we go to Terraforms. Now, I must admit, I bought my first Terraform, and I didn't know what was going on. And I spent hours, days, weeks, months doing exactly what I'm about to show you. And I still do it all the time. I'm still looking at different combos, seeing if something that I think's rare is going to pop up. So I go from low to high. I set my filters. And then I go for what I want to get. So let's do that alien technology rune with the gold shrine. That was our first example. And there it is. There's only one. And it'll tell you up here. One NFT. If you want to see a little bit more about the person that owns this, you just click on their owns by. This is going to load up their wallet. You can see all their NFTs that they have. And if you want to learn a little more, so their ADA handle is SpaceFunk. Sometimes they have others. So all you have to do is type in ADA. So here we go. Forged Lacrosse, SpaceFunk, NFT-wise, and Rumbus. So that's who owns this super rare Cardania land. That Terraform, one of the rarest. So now you could just keep going. So we're going to search. Here's the gold shrines. There's 3 listed out of 177. So now let's look at a lithogram. Let's do time lost. Gold shrine and a time lost lithogram. There's 3 of them. There they are. And so I just keep plugging in all these different combos that you could do. Right here with time lost lithogram and an alien technology or a rune. There's 11. Let's look for something different. We could do clear all. Let's say something more common. Atmosphere. We really like these anti-gravity clouds. And then let's pick some gemstones. And let's pick Cardanium. So with those 3 parameters, we have 5 NFTs. And so you can just keep going on this. Find what you want. Find what you need. Just keep checking things out. Let's put a funky river and a funky lake and take out the gemstones. With those, we got 2. So you can find all kinds of rare combos doing this. I spent many hours just trying to find mine. If I need, let's clear it all. Let's say I want a power 9. And let's say I want the time lost lithogram. Here's my options. Now, if you can find one for sale or not, that's another story. So you have to come on to the JPG store. Just cruise around, just mess around. You'll learn a lot. You'll see what's available, see what's rare. Once you get into the game, you'll see what kind of resources are desired and needed for upgrading terraforms and cards, which ones you need to have in your collection, and then you can start buying terraforms based on that. And speaking about buying terraforms, up until now, we've discussed the various Cardania resources, the limited or rare resource found on terraforms, and rare resource combos. Now I'd like to give some insight to the players who were just joining Cardania. Here are some of the Quitter Quit Quitting's ultimate tips for buying your first Cardania Terraform. Let's get you the most bang for your buck and the best possible setup to start your Cardania adventure. There's two main tips I give people when they're searching for their first terraform. The first tip is to search for terraforms with a high trait count, from 10 to 14. And then you look for terraforms with anti-gravity, funky liquid, which are found in funky lakes and rivers. Anything time lost, the ruins, the shrines, the lithograms. However, these are highly sought after, so be cautious with your purchase. Gemstones, which are secondary minerals, are great ones to find. Any primary mineral, copper and iron, are required for entry-level use cases, card leveling, and citadel upgrades, but terraforms with Cardanium seem to have a higher store of value. High power levels. The higher the power level, the more rad your terraform produces. And you must harvest to receive this rad and also all of your resources. Just remember, don't overspend when buying your first terraform. Explore the Cardania ecosystem, then advance to purchasing more expensive Cardania NFTs when you have a better understanding. Tip number 2 for when buying your first terraform: buy a terraform bundle. Look for various primary minerals, a shrine, ruin, lithogram, or multiple of these, anti-gravity clouds, high trait count terraforms, high power level terraforms. You want to start stacking that rad. Funky liquid, which is water, the gemstones, which are secondary minerals, are great resources to have on a terraform. But as I said before, do not overspend. You want to explore the Cardania ecosystem and then start making advanced purchases. Have a better understanding of what's going on before you jump in. Let's take a look at those high trait count terraforms and also the bundles that are available on the JPG store. Here we are, back at the JPG store. We are looking at Cardania Terraforms. And what we're going to do, we're going to look up some trait counts. So we're going to go here. As you can see, there's those 4 trait counts. I don't suggest buying these. There's nothing on them. There's one for sale for $1,884. There's nothing. Trait count 4, nothing. It's a grassland. Nothing. Power level 2. RCN. Quantum flux 5. And nothing. More nothing. And more nothing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Do what you want. Make your own decisions. If you want a barren land, that's going to make you happy, get out your pocketbook. Here's the 15 trait counts. None of them are for sale. Let's look at 14. Here we go. Now we got some stuff. We got a few. If you're buying your first terraform, I mean, how much is 1,000 ADA is? Oh, this one's not for sale. Let's see what 12.99 ADA is. $650. If you don't really know much about the game, I'd hold off on that one. Let's look at the 300 ADA one. It's $150. As you can see, there's really the only thing that's cool on here is the high trait count. Not much special going with that one. This one has a little bit more going for it. We have a quantum shrine, anti-gravity cloud. So, bottom line is 300 ADA for a 14 trait count. Let's go to a 13. Oh, 100, a third of the price. So we kind of look through, see what we got. There's a void shrine. This one has a time-lost lithogram. And then they just kind of start getting expensive. So what if we went to the 12 trait counts? Look at that. 130. Get your anti-gravity. You have a blue ruin, a blue lithogram. You have a shrine. You got some... This one doesn't seem too bad. $65. 6 on a quantum flux. Not too shabby. Look at all the options you have. There's some funky liquid. There's some Cardanium and Curse liquid. That one's not bad. But let's see what we can find if we go from 12 to 11. Now we're in the 750. Look at that. You have a lot more options. You could get a couple of lands compared to another one. So, I mean, here's a good one. There's some funky liquid, but I always like to get that primary resource. This one has gems. It has copper. It has the ancient ruins. Purple lithogram. Your anti-gravity cloud. And if you're looking for something specific, you could always keep your trait count on there. Say we want a power level of 9, get some rad. You could just click that. And there's no there's no 11s. Let's see if there was a 12. No 12s. Everyone loves to get the rad, so that one's expensive. Let's go for a 10. Power level 9 is in demand lately. Everyone sees the potential. So here we are. We've got 10 trait counts. That one looks good. I mean, you have so many options here. This one doesn't look bad. That one doesn't look bad. That one looks good. That one looks really good. So you just got to look around. Figure out what you want. Power level 6, quantum flux 8. That's not a bad land. But as I said, there's two techniques. You could go for high trait count, or you could go for bundles. So if you go to sale type, click on bundles. This will get you here. They have kind of a weird way of listing it. So it's saying that there's 3 in this bundle, and you could click on it, but it's going to be this one, and this one. So you click on it, and you can kind of check out that one too. Power level 7. Cursed nanites. It's $55. 110 ADA. So that's what, about 35, 37, somewhere around there. ADA per one. It's 11 trait count. This is a great way to get your first couple of terraforms. And I've even done bundles where I'm just looking for 1 or 2 out of everything. This one doesn't have too much going for it, but it has the power level 8. Get some rad, and then you could sell it if you want. Make some money back. So you just want to go through the bundles, see how much you have. There's another 3. Here's a 5. Ooh, this one's really good. Look at that. So that would be 60 ADA averaged out per terraform. So you got, this is a really good one. Look at that. You have 3 lands with Cardanium. You have 1 with iron, 1 with radium. You have some gemstones. You got a shrine. You got a bunch of different. We have green, blue, and purple lithoglyphs. Here's another fiber. You got a funky lake. This one doesn't seem as good. This one's a winner. Here's another fiber. Look at that, all Cardanium. That doesn't seem too shabby. Here's a 10. So this would average out to 40 ADA per land. And you could get a lot of different resources through here. There's your anti-gravity clouds. You'll have iron, or you'll have copper, Cardanium, radium, iron, gemstones, fossils. You have two of them with the anti-gravity clouds. And this one you have to click on to see what 4 you get. It's kind of an older setup, I believe. Oh, you don't even get to see. Huh. Interesting. A 5 trait count. Oh, it's because it's not for sale. Someone already bought it. Sometimes the JPEG store does that. It says things are for sale, and it's not. So those are 2 of the many options you have when trying to get your first terraform. I suggest trying to find one with a high trait count or a bundle that has some good terraforms on it. Now, as promised, I want to talk to you about the most desired land type on all of Cardania. It's the land type that everyone's trying to get their gauntlets on. Let me explain. 2021, when Cardania first started, the project's first NFT release was the Founders cards. There's 7 different colors of the Founders cards: black, white, orange, purple, red, green, blue. And the black and the white are the most rare, with only 250 of each one. If you were lucky enough to obtain all 7 Founder card colors, then you have what's called the gauntlet. And when the Terraform NFTs were first released, everyone with a gauntlet was airdropped an extremely rare Cardania land type called the Prismatic Land. And these prismatic lands, they have a chance of having the same attributes incorporated on them as all the other land types. But there's one exception. Instead of creating energy, the prismatic lands create something called quantum dark energy, or QDE. Only 1.3% of the Cardania terraforms are prismatic. That equals to a total number of 262 prismatic lands. Currently, the only way to obtain a prismatic land is to purchase them or win them during a Cardania event. And if you want to join the Gauntlet Gang, then you have to buy your way into that exclusive group. If you have a gauntlet, you also get a 25% harvesting bonus when you harvest from Epic Wars. So let's take a look at these super rare lands. Over on, where else? The JPEG store. Let's check out some rare ones, see what we can find over there. So what we're going to do is we are going to go down to land type. I'm going to click on the prismatic. Now notice it says that there's 250. There's always, seems like between the codex and the JPEG store, there's a little variation on things, so sometimes it's hard to know what's officially going on. Now these are pricey. These are rare. So the very lowest one is 1,150 ADA, which equals $576. It's a lot of cash. This one has an 8 trait count. Now, one thing also that I found interesting when I was doing my research. So, energy production on all the other land types is determined by your quantum flux. So the higher the quantum flux, the more energy you get. I figured that if you had a high quantum flux, you would get more quantum dark energy. That's not the case. Every prismatic land creates the same amount of quantum dark energy per epoch, which is 15. So that's something that's interesting. I don't know why you would think. If we go down to quantum flux here with our prismatics, we do the 9. Shows there's 7 NFTs with quantum flux 9, but I don't know what the quantum flux does. It doesn't seem to do anything for a prismatic, which is confusing. So out of these, I mean, you got, there's a time lost, there's a time lost. This one has Cardanian. This one has your anti-gravity cloud. It's hard to tell which one would be rare, worth more. Probably say that one's the rare one out of these 7. But let's go to shrines. Check out the gold shrine. See if there's one here. There is. There is. So that's probably the most rare prismatic, is this gold one, and it's number 20,000. That's a good number for it. Let's see if there's time lost ruins. There's 3 of them. Let's check out the time lost shrine. Look at that. Look at that one. Time lost shrine and a time lost lithogram. That one's also super rare. So you can find a lot of stuff here. Let's see if there's a power. Let's see if there's a power 9 on here. Wow. That shocks me. There's 11 power 9s. So the main point to all this is just search around. Get on the JPEG store, start doing filters, see what you can find. Find some good bundles, find some good trait counts, find some rare attributes. Find some rare, extremely rare land types. And if you see a good deal, go for it. If you're new to it, just don't get it over your head. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Hopefully it showed you some techniques to find your next terraform. Thanks for watching the Quitter Quit Quitting channel. I'm your host, the Ultimate Quitter, and we'll see you out on the Cardania battlefields.